Even on an ugly day like this one, some data center related stocks keep making new highs. Take Babcock and Wilcox Enterprises. This is a company founded nearly 160 years ago. Makes all sorts of equipment for power generation, emission control. They got their start making boilers for the second industrial revolution. And now they're helping to power the fourth industrial revolution. And that's why the stock's up 245% year to date and over 2,500% just over the past 12 months. When I first saw it, I didn't believe it, but it's true. And when you look at the numbers, you can understand why the stock's been rallying so hard. When Babcock and Wilcox reported earlier this week, they delivered 44% revenue growth, and their bookings shot up 2,000% year over year, with their backlog rising 483% to $2.7 billion. Even when the company priced a $200 million secondary offering at $18.50 per share earlier today, down almost $2 from yesterday's close, it didn't take long for the stock to erase its losses, then finish up 63 cents or 2.97%. Remember, this is a down day in the market. So can this thing keep running? Let's dig deeper with Kenneth Young. He's the chairman and CEO of Babcock and Wilcox. Mr. Young, welcome to Mad Money.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, I've got to tell you, it's an amazing story. This is a story of a comeback, and a comeback of a legendary company that always had great technology and great engineering. I don't want people to get things wrong. You still do a lot of coal work. And the backlog, we can talk about data center, but first I just want to talk about coal, in part because we're not an anti-coal country anymore, so I don't want to overlook it.
No, that's true. Babcock and Wilcox, as you mentioned, 160th year, and our tradition goes back supporting coal plants and power plants. In fact, the first one in New York over 160 years ago. So happy to celebrate that anniversary this year. But over 50% of our revenue still comes from supporting coal plants, not only in the United States, but around the world. And actually, coal usage in Southeast Asia and other parts of the world is on the rise. Right. And so we continue to support those plants, parts and services to maintain efficiency, environmental issues or concerns on those particular fleets, as well as ensure they're running full time. Go ahead. Sorry.
And we're recommissioning. I mean, we're not. We need every part. I like everybody else. Obviously, I don't want the whole like the Chinese have all these coal plants they're putting up every month. And but I also recognize that a clean coal plant, and you're aware, you guys know what you're doing, can be as clean as a dirty natural gas plant, for heaven's sake.
No, that's absolutely correct. The ultra supercritical coal plant can be in the same level of efficiency as a combined cycle or simple cycle natural gas plant in the long run. So there's value in keeping these coal fleets going in order to meet the consumer and industrial demand that's happening here in the U.S. and around the world.
Okay. Now, I know, though, we have to understand is like for the secondary today, people are just very excited about your bookings. And they're looking at the bookings and looking at hyperscalers, looking at Applied Digital, which is a neo-cloud company that has a huge project with you, the Base Electron project. Maybe you can explain to people what the Base Electron project is. They might understand both the current we just described and the future of Babcock and Wilcox.
Sure. So Applied Digital set up Base Electron as an IPP, independent power provider, in order to provide electricity to meet the needs of the data centers. So in our particular case, our project with Base Electron, which is backstopped by Applied Digital, is going to provide just over 1.2 gigawatts of power.
Which is huge.
Using just traditional, as your point earlier, using 4 300-megawatt steam turbines and steam boilers to produce this power and electricity. So it's using traditional technology that's been around since 1950 in order to meet the demand of these data centers today in a very efficient fashion. But more importantly, we can provide that power in a much faster time period. Combustion cycles, combustion turbines are on back order for 5 to 10 years. We can produce these power plants in under 36 months. So
really? Because, I know GE Vernova, they're backed up too far as I'm concerned in terms of trying to figure out, like Chalmers owns it, but there's no doubt about it. You got to get in their queue. There is not a long queue for you?
So the key for us is we look at our manufacturing both in the steam turbines as well as in the boiler manufacturing around the world. And we leverage manufacturing facilities throughout the world, in the United States, obviously a little bit in Mexico, Europe, India, over in Korea as well. But when you look at the companies themselves, the combustion turbine companies are at capacity without a doubt. The steam turbine companies have capacity to build. They're much smaller scale than the combustion turbines. So the capacity exists for that technology. Same on the boiler manufacturing side. We can get boilers through in a much faster period of time.
Okay, that's very important because I know that the hyperscalers are really hungry to do this. And you did say that you are, I'm going to just quote, in active discussions with additional hyperscaler and utility customers, including potential projects in the 300 megawatt, 500 megawatt, and even 1 to 2 gigawatt range. So you've got a big potential order book here with some of the big companies that we talk about all the time.
We do. We're excited about that, obviously supporting them. And as we work through the development of these opportunities, and some of this is also grounded in the fact that we can take our boilers and combine those with combustion turbines in the future. So, for example, we can put in a steam turbine today with a steam boiler today and produce, let's just say, 100 megawatts out of that particular unit.
Okay.
We can combine that in the future when the combustion turbine becomes available at 100 megawatt, combine that with that steam boiler and turbine, and now produce 200 megawatt from that particular site without increasing the land mass. And that's a real advantage for these hyperscalers and data centers and utilities in order to have a time to market and to produce power.
Well, when did the big hyperscalers just rediscover you? I can't say discover you because they're around for so long. Because, I mean, in many ways, candidly, other than Bloom Energy, I don't know anyone else has capacity.
Yeah, it's exciting for us, obviously, being around so long. And our brand equity, obviously, worldwide is very solid. Everybody knows who Babcock & Wilcox is. But it is exciting for us because the hyperscalers and other utilities obviously are looking at alternative solutions to provide power. And one of the fastest to market to be able to do that in something that is proven technology, which is the other important piece. When you talk about technology, it's been around since 1950, it's proven. So it works. We know it works. There's low risk on this technology. We can provide this technology faster, and it's becoming a much better alternative for the utilities and hyperscalers.
There's a chance that you could be overwhelmed with orders. I mean, are you trying to figure out, you trying to game it correctly in some behind the meter? These are huge projects.
No, it's a good point. So as we begin working on Base Electron or the Applied project and working with our manufacturers, one of the things that we started to do was secure capacity for the next project and the next project, right, to make sure that we had that capacity available to us. The other area that we're really focused on, which is a big issue for the U.S., is the construction labor. So the welders, the Boilermakers, the pipe fitters, and we have a very good relationship with the Boilermakers and working with them to try to figure out how we could train more and increase the number of welders and the availability, not necessarily in the next 2 years, but 3 to 5 years out.
Well, I was going to ask you that.
Going.
I find that the gating factor with power is a gating factor, and the gating factor with power is often the workforce, because we don't produce these. We didn't look when your company started. These were the jobs, but we all got caught up in a kind of liberal education. We like liberal arts, but the jobs are what you have, correct?
No, they are. And we're obviously the whole construction industry in the U.S., especially around data centers and power producers, is going up, right? The labor force is making more than they have in the past, but we need more of them by a wide variety. So we look at 5 to 10 years, we have to increase that workforce. So we have to start the recruiting and training today in order to be situated in a solid place to have access to those construction services.
Well, I can't have to tell you, sir, that when I started working on it, because we had get lots of questions about it, I was skeptical that you guys could be the guy. And then I saw that you had a big hyperscaler and other hyperscalers looking. But when I listened to you, I realized, geez, you may be like the last hope on this. Unless we go to space, we figure out quantum. I don't see any time we're going to do that. I like this technology because it powered the second industrial revolution. It did a pretty darn good job. That's Kenneth Young, Chairman and CEO of Babcock & Wilcox. Remember, the big backlog, this is very exciting for you if you're a data center guy, but there's a lot of coal and recommissioned coal. And as far as I'm concerned, they have the construction ability to make what you may not even realize exists. Mad Money's back after the break.
Coming up, AI is coming